You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
And I'm Rachel Bomberger, sitting in for Sarah Gulseth today.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Happy Thursday.
Thursday, one of my favorite days.
Right after Wednesday.
Well, you get to just run into the weekend then, right?
There you go. We have two great topics, and excited to have you here for both of these topics today, because as I was looking at that, I was like, oh, these are perfect. These are things that I think Rachel Bomberger would enjoy.
Rachel Bomberger geeks out about, you mean?
Okay, that's might have been what I was thinking.
Yeah, a little bit.
Classical Lutheran education. Mm-hmm. There's a conference coming up, the CCLE conference coming up, and so we get to share who the speakers are and the theme, all that good stuff about the CCLE conference. I'm excited about that. And did you all, when you relocated to the St. Louis area, did you spend some time trying to find a school for your children?
Yes, we did.
Did you search websites for those schools?
Oh, exhaustively.
Haha.
Haha.
What should be on a Lutheran school website?
So much and so little.
Exactly. It's quite a dilemma. Do you put all the information on there that you think is important? How do you narrow down what to put on there so that it's not overwhelming to prospective families? We're going to talk about that in the second half. Thanks to our friends at Concordia University, Wisconsin for supporting the Coffee Hour. Find out more about Concordia University, Wisconsin at cuw.edu. Joining us by phone this morning, the Reverend Robert Paul. He's pastor and headmaster of Memorial Lutheran School in Houston, Texas, and vice president of the Consortium for Classical Lutheran Education Board of Directors. Pastor Paul, thanks for joining us this morning on the Coffee Hour.
Thanks for having me.
Excited to share, to announce really the CCLE, the Consortium for Classical Lutheran Education Conference that's coming up. What is a story that really demonstrates classical Lutheran education at its best? Why classical Lutheran education is important today?
Well, a few little vignettes. First, most, if not all, classical Lutheran schools daily gather to hear the Word of God and receive the forgiveness of sins and sing the services of the church. So when people think of classical Lutheran schools, they should think of matins, of children from all backgrounds and ethnic and religious, singing our services and hymns out of Lutheran service book at the top of their lungs, and some of them not even looking because they can't read yet. So that'd be the first vignette. The second would be middle schoolers debating on who's the most significant person of the Middle Ages. And the third would be elementary school students reciting the poetry of Robert Frost and Robert Burns and the Lord's Prayer in Latin. So three little vignettes that bring one into at least brick and mortar. We could have more vignettes if we wanted to talk about the classical Lutheran homeschoolers who have all sorts of different experiences. But definitely three that come to the top of my mind of things that one should expect, but also one should enjoy when one goes to a classical Lutheran school.
Now, obviously not every Lutheran school is a classical Lutheran school. In fact, the school my children attend, wonderful school, is not built around the classical model. And yet, every time I hear about Lutherans doing classical education, it really seems to be something that goes well together. What is it about the Lutheran approach to life, to history, that really meshes well with a classical approach?
A classical education embraces and hands down the tradition of the past. It doesn't cleanse it. It doesn't change it. It discerns and receives it. And the scriptures show the plundering of the Egyptians. It shows the reception and the Christianization of all sorts of things that have come to us. And all of the good human things, which the world could say is good, a wisdom, practicality, taking care of other people, humility, things that we would sum up as virtue. This is found in classical education and then perfected through the gospel, through the virtues of faith, hope, and love. And so a classical education brings the best of Western civilization into the classroom. Not the most chic not the most up-to-date by the world standards, but the best things that teach one how to think and what to do. And then that meshes with the Lutheran living in the world. Not being of the world, but learning how to discern and be in the world.
What do you love and embrace so much about classical Lutheran education at Memorial Lutheran School in Houston that you want to bring to the Consortium for Classical Lutheran Education conference that's coming up right around the corner? That's coming up, I guess it's July, so we have a little time to prepare.
Yeah, we have a little bit of time. Yeah. Registration opens on Monday for the early bird registration on the 18th of March. I personally am on the docket to give what's Lutheran about classical Lutheran education, and I've been doing that for a number of years. We have a beginner track every conference where we talk about what is classical, what is particularly Lutheran, since there are Roman Catholics who do classical education, Presbyterians, Reformed, Orthodox, charter schools, government schools that do it too. And then the third of that beginner track is how do you do it? So you have the theory of classical and Lutheran. Now, what does it look like on a day-to-day basis? So I'm almost always a part of that. And then this year I also will be participating in a roundtable on school boards and speaking as a headmaster and one who's worked with school boards over the past half decade. What does that look like for other school board members, for headmasters, since our conference tries to meet the needs of home educators, classroom educators, pastors, headmasters, school board members, enthusiasts, anybody who wants to either get deeper, and that's really the theme of this year's, or even just learn for the first time. Because our conference this year is entitled Further Up and Further In, Lutheran Liberal Arts Today, taking its cue from a quote from C.S. Lewis's Last Battle.
So you say early bird registration opens on Monday, and you sort of began to give a list of the people that this conference is for. Who among our listeners today should be clicking over to that website first thing Monday morning to see if they can get signed up?
It would be anybody, because the classical education is for everyone, whether you're there's also so we'll start at the beginning. Generally, people who come to this are teachers, pastors, headmasters, homeschoolers. However, there's been a concerted effort over the past few years to make this conference exceedingly family-friendly, since education is about the family. We're talking about parents who have children. And so not only are there outstanding opportunities for adults to learn from representatives from 4 of our Concordias. Dr. Joel Heck is presenting. Dr. Angus Manouge is presenting. Dr. C.J. Armstrong from Irvine is presenting. And it's hosted at Concordia Chicago. We're partnering with CALA, which is the Center for the Advancement of Lutheran Liberal Arts, a new center there, helping to teach our college graduates how to be classical Lutheran teachers. So you have that. But this year, we have revamped and working together with Concordia Chicago and St. Paul Lutheran School in Hamel, Illinois, we'll be providing a really excellent, top-notch children's program in addition to child care during the conference for middle school-age students and grammar school-age students. So they will be learning and being involved in the same things that we are, just at their own level.
That's outstanding, because if I'm a homeschool educator, most likely I spend most of my time with my children and would need to bring them along with me. So, and what a great opportunity for them to get to learn those same themes while all together in one place.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the plenary speakers and some of the other speakers as well. Looking at the lineup, that I believe it's available at the CCLE website as well. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. CCLE.org. One can see our promotional poster, which gives the highlights of the conference, the dates, that's 16 through 18 July, hosted at Concordia University Chicago in River Forest, Illinois. It's a co-conference this year with CALA. So our conference attendees have the opportunity to hear some heady topics on epistemology, how we know things, in the midst of most of the time our conference attendees are looking for things they can do, practical things. And so this year, as in some recent years, we're trying to make sure we have enough and I think we do provide enough sessions that teachers and homeschoolers and headmasters, pastors will be able to take away things to try and do in their own schools and homes.
With just about a minute left, registration information that we need to be aware of.
Yes. Registration will open on Monday, the 18th of March. Early registration is $275, and this includes lunch on campus Tuesday and Wednesday, and the banquet Wednesday night. Conference runs from Tuesday to Thursday afternoon, July 16th through the 18th at Concordia, Chicago. Don't forget that one can register once it opens for children and youth programs, which should be really top-notch. The middle school sessions are going to be taught by the Concordia Chicago professors on art, theology, poetry, robotics, and music. They'll even be training to sing in a service at the conclusion of our program. We have services every day as a part of the conference. And this conference seems to be one which will get those who really want to go further into classical education, and not just the what is it and what does it do, but how do we continue to grow as those who love the things that are classical and Lutheran.
So whether you're new to classical Lutheran education or you've been doing this for years, it's going to be valuable for you.
Yes, if this is your first or your 19th conference, you will be able to gain quite a bit from what the CCLE will offer this summer.
Excellent, excellent. We'll share the link to the CCLE website as well with today's program notes. The Reverend Robert Paul, pastor and headmaster of Memorial Lutheran School in Houston, Texas. Thank you so much for being our guest on the Coffee Hour.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Coming up in just a little bit, what does your Lutheran school website need to include? You know, sometimes that involves a committee putting that together because we're Lutherans and we like to have committees do those things.
Oh, we do.
Sometimes it just defaults to one or two people. But what do you look for as a parent when you're looking at Lutheran school websites? I'm Andy Bates.
And I'm Rachel Bomberger.
You're listening to the Coffee Hour.